Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are wading into what can feel like a genuine ethical and scientific minefield.
It really can.
The overwhelming world of IVF add-ons. If you are navigating this journey, you're already making one of the biggest emotional and financial investments of your life, and then this list of optional extras just appears.
And it's an endless list, promising better outcomes.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission today is really to give you the ultimate evidence-based shortcut. IVF is a precise medical process, not a lottery ticket.
That's a great way to put it.
But in the effort to get any possible edge, patients are often pitched add-ons where the high cost just doesn't equal high efficacy. We're not here to say any procedure is forbidden, but we are looking for proof,
Right. We're looking for clear justification and objective data over glossy marketing promises. And that's the crux of it.
Yeah.
When a complex medical process results in disappointment, there's this natural, very powerful drive to find the missing piece. And this emotional vacuum is so often filled by these high-priced extras that they just lack clinical justification.
Yeah.
So we need to tackle the biggest myth that drives many of them, the idea that the body is inherently hostile and is actively attacking the embryo.
It sounds incredibly logical, though. I mean, the embryo is technically semi-foreign tissue, right? Half from the father.
It is.
So why wouldn't the body view it as an invader that needs to be, neutralized?
Because the reproductive system is just far more evolved than that. The body doesn't need its immune system simply switched off to accommodate the embryo.
Oh, I see.
Shutting down the immune response is actually dangerous. It can open the door to infections, other complications. What the body needs is sophisticated, highly regulated
Tolerance, not shut down.
Exactly. A mechanism that recognizes the embryo and actively supports its growth. And this distinction is so critical because if you believe the body's attacking, you resort to immune suppressors.
Which brings us directly to those common immunotherapy treatments. We hear about them all the time. Intralipids, IVIG, and excessive steroids like prednisolone. So if I'm worried about implantation and I read accounts of success with these, why shouldn't I try them just in case?
And that's where the evidence gap just appears. These heavy-duty immune interventions, they only truly make sense when you have confirmed specific immunological disorders.
Okay.
Or, specific autoimmune cases, or a documented history of repeated implantation failures that are backed up by rigorous, specialized lab findings.
So not for a first or second attempt.
Exactly. Using them routinely, what some sources call prophylactic protocols, it often has zero clinical benefit.
So if the benefit is low, what's the risk beyond just the financial cost?
Well, the risks are structural. Excessive long-term steroids can actually thin and damage the very endometrium you are trying to perfect for implantation.
Oh, wow. So you could be doing the opposite of what you want.
Precisely. And studies show that in many cases, intralipids act purely as a financial placebo. They make the patient feel like they're doing something, but they don't change the underlying biological probability.
You're using a sledgehammer when you need a fine scalpel.
That's it. And potentially harming the very environment you want to protect.
That is a powerful distinction.
Yeah.
What other red flags should listeners watch for in this immunology corner?
Okay, definitely watch for non-standard testing and highly controversial treatments. First, routine uterine NK cell tests.
NK cells, natural killer cells.
Yes. They try to measure these cells in the uterine lining. And while these cells are involved in implantation, there are no standard globally accepted reference values for these tests.
So the results don't mean much.
The results often give this false sense that a solvable problem has been found, which leads straight to unnecessary, costly immunotherapy.
And what's the second red flag?
A massive one. A practice called LIT, or lymphocyte immunization therapy. This is a dangerous practice. It was popular back in the 1990s, and it involves using the partner's white blood cells.
Wait, banned? You said it's often banned.
Often banned in countries with strict scientific oversight, like Canada and many parts of Europe.
That suggests serious risk. Not just that it doesn't work. Why would a clinic still offer something that's banned elsewhere?
Exactly. When a protocol is deemed too risky or scientifically unjustified, where the regulatory science is most stringent, that is your ultimate filter. With LIT, there's minimal evidence, and it carries the risk of infection or other immunological reactions. It's a throwback.
And its persistence is purely opportunistic.
That's right. And just one more before we move on.
Okay.
Empiric antibiotics. Just taking them in case there's a minor undiagnosed uterine infection.
Seems harmless enough.
But it's a common misuse. If you have a confirmed infection, of course, antibiotics are essential, but taking them just in case disrupts the necessary healthy uterine microbiome.
Which we're learning is more and more important.
It's crucial for receptivity. By using broad-spectrum antibiotics without necessity, you are potentially compromising that balance.
Okay, so if attacking the immune system is often counterproductive, let's pivot to treatments that promise to perfect the physical environment of the womb, specifically around timing. Here's where it gets really interesting, because a lot of these promise certainty where there really isn't any.
This is where we run into the ERA test, the endometrial receptivity assay.
Right. The marketing pitch is so compelling. It determines the exact 24 to 36-hour receptive window, the window of implantation.
It promises customization and control.
Exactly.
And that illusion of control is precisely why it's so popular, despite a lot of evidence showing its limited utility. The scientific reality is, for the vast majority of patients, implantation failure is due to the embryo's quality. It's genetics.
So it's not a timing issue.
It's usually not a timing issue. Current studies just don't show a general blanket benefit for most patients.
So when would it be useful? Is there ever a case?
The ERA test is like paying for a hyper-specialized GPS system. It's only really useful in a very narrow, specific scenario. If you have repeated unexplained failures, and you know for a fact the quality of your embryos is excellent. For a first or second transfer, or if there are known issues with egg or sperm quality, the test is expensive, painful, and just unnecessary.
It's revenue-generating complexity.
That's a good way to put it.
What about treatments designed to physically prepare the uterus, like the endometrial scratch? I've heard many patients are told this is just a required part of their protocol.
It was once routine, yeah. The idea was that creating a micro damage or a minor injury would somehow increase receptivity through a healing response.
Wow.
We've largely moved past that. The evidence is minimal, and it introduces unnecessary physical pain and stress into an already difficult process. If your clinic includes it just because it's part of our standard package, that should raise some concerns.
And what about hysteroscopy?
Similar issue with misuse. A hysteroscopy is a phenomenal tool when a problem is suspected. If an ultrasound looks suspicious or if there's a history of polyps, it's great.
But not for everyone.
But performing it routinely without any clinical indication just adds unnecessary invasiveness, time delays, and expense. And crucially, it does not demonstrably improve success rates for the general population.
And we have to mention the pure pseudoscience our sources flagged.
Yeah.
Blood-based receptivity tests.
Oh, yes. The ones that claim to assess the health of your endometrium from a simple blood draw.
How is that even possible?
It's physiologically impossible. The endometrium is specific uterine tissue. You simply cannot assess the highly localized receptivity of an organ from a generic vein. If a claim sounds too good or too easy, be very cautious.
Let's move into the lab, where technology meets marketing. This is where we see the embryo and gamete add-ons. The biggest one, and maybe the most complex, is PGT-A.
Pre-implantation genetic testing for aneuploidy.
Right.
Now, what's fascinating here is that PGT-A is a genuinely fantastic, revolutionary tool, but it is not magic.
Okay.
It helps identify embryos with the correct number of chromosomes, reducing the risk of transferring a genetically flawed embryo. It's highly helpful for specific groups.
Like who?
Women 35 and older, those who produce many blastocysts to select from, or patients with a known history of miscarriages related to aneuploidy.
But where does the abuse of this technology creep in?
When it's pushed routinely onto younger patients or, and this is key, those with only 1 or 2 blastocysts. In these low-yield scenarios, the expense and the small benefit simply don't justify the cost or the minimal risks from the biopsy process.
So it becomes a financially attractive standard procedure for the clinic.
But doesn't necessarily translate into a massive statistical win for a patient who already has a high chance of having a normal embryo.
Okay, what about embryo glue? The name alone sounds like a guaranteed success factor.
The marketing is brilliant, isn't it? It suggests this super sticky substance that glues the embryo to the uterine wall.
And the reality?
The reality is that it's simply a transfer medium enriched with high concentrations of hyaluronic acid. It can physically support the transfer process, yes, but it's not magic. It can't fix a poor quality embryo or solve a severe immune problem.
So how do we apply our filter here? What's the test?
It's simple. If the clinic uses it routinely, and it's included in the basic cost, fantastic.
Right.
But if they charge you an extra 300 to 1,000 euros for it as a standalone item, you are buying an unnecessary luxury item marketed as a medical necessity.
And what about the fancy incubators, the Embryo scope with the time-lapse cameras? They look so high-tech.
They are, and they're useful because they provide a perfectly stable, undisturbed environment. That's great for high-volume labs or patients with many embryos.
But not for everyone.
But for a patient with only 1 or 2 blastocysts, that camera adds very little clinical benefit. The key takeaway is that experienced, expert human embryology,
The skill of the person.
the skill of the person handling things, is far more critical than simply having a camera inside a box. You are paying for the skill, not the gadgetry.
I love that. Skill trumps automated tech. And a quick word on sperm preparations. Diamond wash.
Exactly. Standard sperm preparation is incredibly effective. Be cautious when medicine starts using jewelry marketing terms like diamond wash or platinum purification.
It's a red flag.
It's usually just a renamed, expensive version of a perfectly standard protocol designed to appeal to that emotional desire for the best possible option.
That's a huge financial filter. If it sounds like a luxury car or endless, maybe skip it. Let's finish by looking at the wellness trap. Treatments that promise to reset or boost fertility quality. PRP, platelet-rich plasma, is a major trend right now.
Huge trend. It's promoted heavily for ovarian rejuvenation and to guarantee a thick endometrium. The evidence is still experimental.
Small studies.
Very small samples, often contradictory results. While it might have a rare specific use for an extremely thin endometrium that hasn't responded to anything else, for general use or boosting ovarian reserve, the evidence is just weak to non-existent.
It's more marketing than medicine at this point.
Much more marketing, yes. And you see that same pattern with ovarian lasers and stem cell rejuvenation.
Shiny names, big promises.
Exactly. They promise to miraculously increase AMH or restore ovarian reserve. The reality today is they do not demonstrably do either of those things reliably. The core peer-reviewed evidence just isn't there.
Okay, finally, let's talk about high-dose vitamin infusions and aggressive antioxidant packs. This feels proactive, like a low-risk move you can make yourself.
It does feel proactive, but smart supplementation is precise, not maximal. Vitamins are essential, but only when you have a confirmed deficiency.
And oral supplements work fine.
Oral supplements work perfectly fine when guided by blood analysis. Infusions are often that placebo luxury we talked about.
And you can actually have too many antioxidants.
Yes, and this is the really nuanced point. Too many can be counterproductive. It creates what scientists call a redox paradox. You actually need some free radicals for healthy cell signaling.
So you're disrupting a natural process.
You could be. By flooding the system, you can cause cellular stress. Smart supplementation focuses on specifics like CoQ10, vitamin D, omega-3, and folates based on your actual needs, not a generic fertility megadose pack.
And the final wellness treatment, acupuncture. Many patients swear by it.
And it is helpful. Acupuncture is fantastic for reducing stress and anxiety, which indirectly benefits your hormonal balance. And that's a huge factor in this journey. But here's the critical distinction. It is not proven to directly increase implantation rates. If it's sold to you as an obligatory IVF service that guarantees success, that should be an alarm. It helps the body and the soul immensely.
But the embryo doesn't know.
The embryo is scientifically unaware of the needles.
So if we connect all this to the bigger picture, the journey really requires a mental shift.
A huge one.
From emotional decisions, success at any cost, to informed medical decisions based on evidence.
Exactly. Your best strategy is always to strengthen the foundation first. Focus on validated egg quality protocols, proper spermogram results, confirmed endometrium health, and optimal timing. That's the real scientific work.
And before you commit to paying for any add-on, you need to use the Ultimate filter we've built today. What are those crucial questions to ask?
Okay, first, why me? Is this specific treatment personalized for my diagnosis, or is it a routine, expensive package offered to everyone?
Right.
Second, what is the evidence? Demand to see the science, not the marketing brochures. Third, what do I realistically gain? Look for a clear, measurable benefit, not a vague promise.
And that final perspective check.
The ultimate check. Take the pseudoscience blood test we discussed and ask yourself, would my most critical evidence-based friend advise me to spend $1,000 on this? Use that perspective to protect your resources.
That proactive, informed choice is incredibly empowering, especially in a process as challenging as IVF. Remember to focus on strengthening the core process and demanding evidence, not just buying flashy extras.
It's about being your own best advocate.
As always, this discussion has been purely educational and does not constitute medical advice. We know this journey is tough, so please bring these evidence points directly to your clinic and use them as conversation starters with a qualified medical professional for your specific situation. If you are looking for more information about the complete in vitro fertilization process, you can find detailed resources on the portal, ivl4me.com. That's pronounced IVF for me.